you ever get tired of all the conflicting information around health and fitness? Do you get sick of all the different gurus proclaiming to have the answer? Do you get overwhelmed with the sheer amount of information that comes your way and you're just not sure, okay, is this something I should do or not? I just don't know. There's so much information out there. It's so confusing. Have you ever felt like that? Well, today I'm going to talk to you about how to become your own health and fitness guru. So if this is your first time listening to the show, welcome to the Legendary Life Podcast. I'm health expert Ted Ryce. And what we do in this show is we break down science-based information on how to lose fat, prevent disease, and live a longer, healthier, legendary life. But on Real Talk Fridays, we just have a conversation. We have a conversation, a real conversation, if you will, about, well, things and stuff. Muchas cosas is what you'd say in Spanish. And if that's what you're into, then you're in the right place. And today we're going to be talking about how to make this not only like just the mindset involved, but also specifically what to do. And what I do with my clients, well, that's what I'm really going to share. I don't know what you should do, but I'm going to share with you what I do with my clients. And I'm going to kick it off like this. I was having a conversation with a new client. Liz, shout out to you. Really appreciate you. Liz is someone who's been listening for a year. She had no intention of ever becoming a client, signing up for coaching. Then she did my 7-day challenge, got great results, started to see how there's some method behind his madness. And now she's in the program. She's, I think, 2 weeks in at this point, 2 or 3 weeks in, and she's gotten better results than she's ever gotten with any program ever. I'll let that sink in. And the thing about Liz too, Liz is highly knowledgeable. Liz is one of the people who has the most in this current group, who has the most training around, I'll say it like this. She knows what a front rack position is for a front squat. If you know that and can do that, then you are a different level than other people when it comes to lifting. But the nutrition success eluded her. And after our call the other day, she told me something that I don't think I'll ever forget. She said, Ted, what you're teaching us, I knew I could be successful with weight loss, with fat loss, but what you're teaching us is how to be successful and also be happy. And what she meant by that, if it's not immediately obvious, is that we all kind of know extreme ways to get results. Don't eat sugar ever again. Don't eat dessert ever again. All those things that you like, all the foods that you like, give them up. Just eat chicken breast and broccoli. Do you think you won't lose massive amounts of body fat if you just eat chicken and broccoli all the time? Of course you will. We don't have a weight loss problem in society. If you don't know how to lose weight with some approach, you're really, I don't want to say anything bad. I'm just saying you really don't know what you're doing. Everyone knows how to lose weight. Just eat chicken and broccoli. In fact, give that a try if you've never lost weight successfully. But what people don't know is how to do it in a way where they still feel like they can. In Liz's case, she loves gummy bears. Another one of my clients told me, I think you might have said this, Wayne, like I want to be able to split dessert with my wife or split some wine or have wine with friends and not feel guilty about it. I mean, that's totally reasonable. But in our diet culture, it's not, right? I'll tell you this too. I got into an argument with this guy on Facebook. I actually had to block him. I was like, I just got to get rid of this guy. Because I put up this 2-choice situation. I asked, is it better to be overweight/obese and not eat any sugar? And I think the title, let me back up for a second. So the title was, how bad is sugar really? And the first question, let's test your knowledge. Is it better to be, number one, overweight or obese and don't eat any sugar? Or two, eat sugar sometimes, but you keep your body fat percentage and your weight in a healthy range. And for those of you who don't know what that is, if you're a man, under 20%, maybe really in between 8 and 17%, really. And if you're a woman, somewhere in the 16 to 30 range. And some people got annoyed with me. They're like, oh, well, that's not, one person actually who is asking a legitimate question, he's like, are there people who are overweight or obese who don't eat a lot of sugar? And the answer is yes. Go into any low carb or keto or carnivore diet group on social media. They're there. They're stuck. They're not losing weight and they don't eat any sugar. Zero. Why? Because they're eating too many fucking calories from fat and they don't want to acknowledge the truth. If you eat too many calories from anything, you get fat. So sugar isn't great for you and leads to overconsumption, but cutting it out completely is not the answer, especially if you have an issue. And here's the thing, especially if you have an issue with restrictive diets and you go on a strict diet and then it leads to binge eating. Does that resonate with you? Is that what happens with you? Happens with almost every client who I've ever talked to ever. Happens with myself. That's what I used to do. We can all be good for a while, or what we think is good for a while. We're like, okay, yeah. Oh, what I really want is the pizza, the lasagna, the ice cream, the French fries, the hamburger, but those are bad. Oh, I can't eat those. Those are bad. Okay, I'm being, so perfect. Just eat broccoli and chicken breast, right? Ridiculous. I used to be like that. As I said, in my 20s, I was very extreme. I was paleo before it was paleo. I say that, I don't think people get it. I would order my butter online. I would order only special. I would order, meat from cow farmers, right? And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think quality food is important. It's just not necessary. If it's easy to live your life like that, great, go for it. Maybe you live in the country. Maybe your next door neighbor's a cattle farmer and you get grass-fed, grass-finished beef and it's organic, right? Whatever. If it's easy for you, great. If you can afford it and, they sell it in your market, easy to get, great. But if you're having to put a lot of effort into that lifestyle, into your lifestyle, and it's just not working for you because it's taking up a lot of time, it's not working for you. I don't know if you've been listening long enough to remember my first coaching group, CEO Strength, many years ago at this point, we gave people paleo recipes because I was still, I care about food quality as much as I say, hey, don't worry about the sugar and this and that. I care about food quality. And I'll talk to you about why I shifted away from that in a second. But people were trying to make these paleo recipes. They were expensive. It was hard to find the ingredients. And, I remember some person, it's like I spent several $100s just in 1 week of grocery shopping for these recipes, And what I learned is this: the key to sustainable behavior change for everyone is making it fit into their life. And just like I told Liz, my client who just signed up from the challenge, I said, Liz, this program is called the Legendary Life Program, but it could be called the Liz Program. I tell all my clients, Ryan, this could be called the Ryan Program, could be called the Wayne Program, could be called the Jay Program, could be called the Ashley Program, right? Could be called any one of my clients that are working with me now or have worked with me since I started this new approach. And what I want to tell you is this: there is a perfect recipe for you that will give you the results that you want and that you feel like, okay, I can live this way. My client, Jeff, who's just crushing it, honorable mention to you, Jeff. He's lost like 35 or 40 pounds. I got to check the app today to see where he's at. But he's lost nearly 40 pounds. And the thing was, if you listen to what he said, because I put up his his testimonial interview, his success story. He said, the great thing is I feel like I can do this. This is the easiest thing I've ever done. That's what my clients tell me. This is the easiest nutrition approach that they've ever done. They've gotten the best results and it's the easiest. Now, it's not easy. It's definitely not easy because I'll tell you this, finding that recipe takes a lot of work. It's a lot of work for me. It's a lot of work for the person. What do people show up asking? Hey, what should I eat? What are the foods I should eat? What are the foods I should stay away from? You know what I tell them? There are no food restrictions. We're going to use what you're already eating. People always try to ask me, oh, so what's your nutrition approach? Is it low carb? Is it if it fits your macros? Is it? And I'll answer that question in a second because you may have that question too. But what I'll tell you is this. There's a way to think about all the foods that you're currently eating. Think about all the foods that you eat that you think are healthy. Think about all the foods that you really like a lot, that you think are kind of unhealthy. What I'm going to tell you right now is there's a way to eat all the foods that you currently like and be super lean. If you're a woman, you can get down to 20% or 15% body fat. If you're a man, you can get down to 10% body fat. Now, I'm going to tell you this. The big thing that I do is I teach people about nutrition. Oh, but I already know a lot about nutrition. I listen to so many podcasts and I read so many books. My bookshelf is full of diet books. I've been on so many programs, had so many meal plans. Yeah, and where'd that get you? And what are your results? So I'm going to suggest to you right now, and all my clients on the first call, they're like, they learned something. People who have been for years, decades, learning about nutrition, doing different diets, a light bulb goes off. And what do they learn? They learn this, the fundamental truth about the foods that they eat. What does that mean? Well, calories, carbs, protein, and fat, baby. Every single food that you're currently eating has carbs, protein, and fat. That has a certain amount of calories in it per serving. And what I'm going to tell you is this. I use my Fitness Pal with my clients, and we start tracking their nutrition. And they start learning about the foods that they eat. And through working together with me, we're able to create sustainable fat loss with minimal changes to their dietary habits. Minimal changes. Now, some minimal changes. What I'm saying is, if you like to eat lasagna and pizza, sometimes we can fit that in. So many people, when they, I remember when I first started doing the coaching, it's like, well, what are the specific foods that I need to eat? It's like, I don't tell you what to eat. I help you learn more about the foods that you're eating. I help you get the portion size right. I help optimize your nutrition for fat loss. And I teach you how to do it on your own because I'm not into if it fits your macros, like tracking all the time. What I'm into is like, listen, what is the recipe? This is how I think about it. What is the recipe that works for you? Because you have foods that you love to eat. You have exercises that you either like or don't like to do. What do you think you can stick with? What do you think you can do? And I'll tell you, so many people have so many misconceptions with nutrition. Oh, I've got to give up my favorite foods. Oh, I have to do keto or something extreme to get results. No, you don't. But you need to do something different. You need to learn the right principles because those other things, the intermittent fasting, the keto, the Whole30, those are all quick fixes. They work because they're extreme. But let's be honest. Everyone I know who's been on the Whole30 lost weight on it. And then guess what? They shifted back to their old eating habits and then gained the weight back. Every single person I've ever talked to. Doesn't mean I've talked to everyone who's done the Whole30. I'm sure someone has stayed on it. So more than one person has stayed on it. But I'm just saying for most of us, it's not reasonable. It's not a reasonable approach. Everyone falls off. And if you love eating carbs, but think they're bad, and you're like, gosh, I have to live this shitty lifestyle where I don't eat any carbs because I have to give up carbs because carbs make me fat. It's not true. You don't know nutrition if you say that or think that. And I'm not mad at you if you feel that in my voice. It's mad at the people telling you that. I really want to smack them upside the head. It's really what I want to do. This episode is sponsored by Organifi. Do you want to know a secret that all my coaching clients follow? It's really simple, but powerful. Add vegetables into each meal. But let's be honest, most of us, including myself, don't eat the recommended servings of vegetables and fruits each day. So for those of us who are on the go or have trouble eating healthy, having a greens powder makes it easy to get your greens in every single day, no matter how busy you are. And that's why I use and recommend Organifi green juice, a superfood powder that you just add water to so that you can get your greens in even when you're on the go. The best thing about Organifi green juice is that it actually tastes great. But don't believe me, try it for yourself. And use the code TED20, that's capital TED, the number 20, at www.organifi.com. That's Organifi.com to receive 20% off your first order. But hurry, this is a limited time discount for Legendary Life listeners. Now, back to the episode. So what I'm saying is there's the foods that you're currently eating. There's a way of making that work to get you fat loss. And with exercise, I have to train, so I've got to work out probably like 8 days a week. It's like, that's not even a thing, but that's like an example of how we think about it because it's just impossible to do, right? We think whatever we have to do exercise-wise is impossible. When in reality, I can get you results working out with weights 2 to 3 times a week and walking, say another 2 to 3 times a week. Okay. Walking for 45 minutes or an hour. Walking, not running, not doing high intensity interval training, walking. Now, if you like to do harder training, which I think is a good thing, we can do that. But what I'm telling you is that hard training is overrated. It's overrated. Smart training is where it's at. I work out for 30 minutes doing resistance training, and I try to get my clients 30 to 45 minutes resistance training. And then we figure out, okay, on the off days, what are you going to do? Are you going to walk? Are you going to do cardio of some sort? What type of cardio are you going to do? I personalize it to them because that's what works long term. And I'll tell you this too. I also let people choose. I say, listen, we can lose weight slowly by making small changes, or we can make fast changes with the understanding that these fast changes that we make, for example, I've got clients down 6 pounds in 2 weeks, 8 pounds in 2 weeks. And we can make fast changes like that with the understanding that we're using. And here's something that I've found. I think this is super important. So I want you to please pay attention. What I found is, in general, most people seem to be motivated by creating fast change in their body. It's hard to go back. Losing 5 or 10 pounds, easy to go back and put it back on. Losing 20 or 30 pounds and then continuing that, it's hard to go back. It's like, I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back from that. I don't want to go back from that at all. I like people to push themselves to the point where they feel like, if I get here, I'm never going back there. Especially with how I know what I know about nutrition now, where I can eat my favorite foods. I don't have to live like a nun or a monk, right? Eat like you've forsaken all earthly pleasures. You don't need to eat like that. And when they realize that and they lose weight doing that, it's like, whoa, I can do this. And I never want to go back. And so I figure out, what is that point for you? What is the point that we can drive for that when you reach it, you're going to look back and say, with what I know now and with where I am now, I'm never going to go back. That's the magic of what I do. And I'll tell you something, I don't think anybody else does what I do, the way I do it. Even my coach, I love him, but we didn't get into the psychological stuff like I'm getting into. And actually, Eric, if you're listening, I love you, man. And I want to share some of what I've learned by working with you. But I'll tell you this stuff, and by the way, he's super knowledgeable and very knowledgeable about the psychological aspect as well. But what I do with people now, it's just next level compared to anything that I've seen before. And it's work intensive. It's teaching. It's like getting a master's degree. It's like going to a Tony Robbins seminar. Except it's 12 weeks long. It's not 2 days or 5 days. It's 12 weeks long. What works is transformation. How do we experience transformation? Through experience. You can't read about going to Thailand and get the experience of going to Thailand. You need to show up in Savannah Boom Airport, right? You can't see a documentary about tourism in Bali and know what it's like to stand in those incredible, amazing Balinese Hindu temples and just be awestruck about the beauty of not only the architecture, but of the people there. You have to experience it. I can't tell you what it's like to have a child and have you know. I don't have any children, by the way. What do you think about people who have children, who don't have children, telling you, a person who has children, about how to raise your kids? What do you think? You're like, you got no idea what you're talking about. And you're right. Why? Because you have the experience and that other person doesn't. Experience is transformative. Information, like right now, you're listening to information, but it's not. And here's something that how do I make my coaching transformative? I'll tell you. All my clients try to guru me at first. They're like, oh, great, wonderful, all knowledgeable Ted. We bow at your feet as unworthy. I mean, they don't do this. I'm just kind of joking, right? But what they do is they ask me questions like, oh, Ted, is this right? Is this wrong? Right? That's what it comes down to. With you know about this, is this right or is this wrong? I don't let them do that. I'm like, what do you think? Okay, why do you think that way? Now, and of course, eventually I answer the question or I show evidence and I tell them what I believe, what I know, but I challenge people. I'll give you an example, by the way. We talked about sugar on our last coaching call, and people had a lot of misconceptions. Sugar is this horrible thing. And it's like, well, what if I told you you could lose fat and improve your health by eating nothing but refined sugar? They're like, no, I don't believe that. And guess what I said? Guess what? Okay, if you don't believe that, I'm not going to say anything to change your mind, but here's what I'll tell you to do. Let's do an experiment. For 3 days, let's do the Master's Cleanse, also known as the lemonade diet. And what's the lemonade diet? Basically, you drink nothing but water and maple syrup or honey, right? You know, there's nothing that special about maple syrup other than has more nutrients than honey. And for 3 days, you're going to have nothing but this lemonade, and you're going to see how it works. So if you have this belief that sugar makes you fat, and then you have nothing but sugar, and then you lose fat, and you lose it fast because you're eating so few calories, that's a transformative experience that you can't go back from. So that's what some of the people, others in the group are like, yeah, I ain't doing that. Because they don't need to be convinced. But for the people who are like, no, I don't know if I believe you, because I don't ask you. And by the way, I never expect you to believe me. I want you to test what I tell you. And by the way, look up the Master's Cleanse on Healthline. It's a good place to look it up. And do it for 3 days. Don't read all the other nonsense and people doing it for a long time. That's stupid. It's just not worth doing. Do it for 2 or 3 days. You'll drop weight. You'll drop body fat. And And you'll forever cure yourself of the bullshit belief that sugar inherently makes you fat. Too many calories make you fat, not sugar by itself. Now, if you eat too many calories from sugar, that'll make you fat. But if you eat too many calories from fat or protein, it'll also make you fat. All right? Oh, but I don't believe that, Ted. Good. Well, try the Master's Cleanse for 3 days. Then we can talk. Otherwise, we're just an intellectual discussion. And I'm not interested in those anymore. If you want me to do that, you need to pay me. And I'm going to charge a lot of money because I don't enjoy doing it. I love doing my coaching, but if you want to argue, you're going to have to pay me. And it's not going to be cheap. I guarantee you. It's going to be more expensive than or I'll put it this way. My goal is to start giving keynote talks and charge $10,000 to do that. So it'll be along those lines if you want to argue with me. Anyway, I'm going off tangent right now, but I want to just bring it back to this. The main takeaways, the main things that I want you to take away from are this. You have the answer inside you because nobody knows your life better than you. Now, you may not know the principles. You need to learn the principles, but how you apply the principles in your life is on you because nobody knows your life like you. Nobody knows how you feel like how you know how you feel. So make yourself the guru. Learn the principles, but take ownership and become your own guru. Know what works for you and understand that experience is the way to transform yourself. Whether you go through an experience that you put yourself through, whether you sign up to someone else's, whether you sign up to my coaching program, experience is how you transform. So invest in it. Invest in experience. Information, it's worthless without action. And you can see the results of information hanging around your waist and hips right now when it comes to nutrition information. Because if you have it right, you have this handled. It's as simple as that. And if you have beliefs like sugar makes you fat, like you can eat as much fat as you want, as much protein as you want, but sugar, if you even look at sugar, it's going to make you gain weight. Try the Master's Cleanse for 3 days. Test yourself. Go look up on Healthline. It's just a website that has some decent information. Don't go down the rabbit hole there too much, but it's decent for some things. They've become more commercial, more marketing focused recently in the past, I don't know, maybe year, but it's a decent place. So challenge yourself with experiences. When you challenge yourself with experiences, it makes you the guru. And that's what I ultimately do with my coaching program. Because at the end of the day, you're not going to stay in a coaching experience. You're going to pop from one. You're going to learn from a lot more people. But what you can take with you always is those experiences, the transformation that you underwent. And that's what I'd like you to challenge yourself with. So I'm going to wrap things up. And what I'll tell you is this: if you want to experience my coaching for free, go to legendarylifepodcast.com/challenge and sign up for my free challenge. People lose 3-4 pounds in a week doing that, 2 pounds in a week doing that. People who haven't lost weight in months or years lose weight during my challenge, and it's free. So go to legendarylifepodcast.com/challenge to sign up for the next one. Don't know how many times I'm going to run it, but as of right now, we're going to run it again for sure. And also the last thing I want to tell you is that the next episode is going to be with Ed Lattimore. Ed is a former professional boxer. He also has a degree in physics, and he's a competitive chess player, but he grew up in the hood, grew up in a rough neighborhood, rough African-American neighborhood. And we get into mindset and more. And if you're looking for an interesting story, something to inspire you, something to keep your mindset in the right place, it was a great conversation with Ed. Just really appreciate him a lot. So that's what you have to look forward to on Monday's interview. Have an amazing weekend. Love you, and talk to you soon.